Hi, class. I wanted to talk about the week one discussion, and the discussions are a very important part of the course. The bulk of your grade in the course comes from the six discussions, uh, one each week throughout the 6 week course, and then there's five projects, and then there's a paper at the end for week six. So it's important that you really, follow directions and understand what you're doing for each of those. And for the first one, again, we're kind of getting started, and when you do get started in statistics, you're working with data. Uh, you know, Statistics really revolves around data collection, collecting data, organizing data, um, interpreting data, and drawing some conclusions and inferences and things like that. So, but it all begins with that idea of why do you want to use data, and normally you're trying to support an idea or test a theory, try to help gain information to support one way or another, or just really run experiments and so on. So uh, one of the first things that you do once you have a reason, why would we even want to collect data? Typically, if you're trying to maybe see if a new medication is effective or so on, but you have to define the variables, and that's very important. Every time you work with statistics, you need to define the variables that you're working with. And so this week one discussion does kind of emphasize that. And, we're going to get some data based on, an idea that you come up with. And then we're going to talk about the variables that we're dealing with. So to prepare for the discussion, it says you want to review the week one discussion resources. And those are on, in your course homepage. If you look at the homepage and you look at the left side, there's lots of different things there and that you can look at to help you, with learning supplements and resources uh, for all of the things that we're going to talk about over this course. And then to think of an issue related to your program. So you guys are probably all in some type of program. A lot of students, in this course are in the, medical profession, and so you may be going for your BSN or your master's, nursing or so on, and so you want to think about maybe some issues, and there's lots and lots and lots of issues out there you can look at, um, and so you try to think of something maybe you want to collect some data on, or talk about or think about, and it says here that there's an application index in this in the appendix of the textbook. You can get some ideas maybe there, or you can also look into the data sets that are in StatDisk. And StatDisk has it's the statistical software package that we use to do the computations and come up with the graphical displays for the course. So one big part of the statistics course is for you to learn how to use StatDisk, and most students really like it a lot. It helps out a lot, and they usually don't like doing a bunch of computations, and so this is a pretty easy program to use. And we also have a lot of video instruction on how to use the program. And so then you're to create a scenario. It's something basic, think more basic than complicated. Sometimes students come up with these real complicated ideas and they end up making mistakes and having to rewrite things and so on. And so fairly straightforward, especially for the first one. And it says you want to gather or make up data for this first one. And you want to include one qualitative and two quantitative variables. So in statistics, all variables are broken up into one of two different categories. They're either qualitative or quantitative. And we want to have about 15 data values for each of those variables and include your units of measurement and so on. So, for example, here if you see, you're going to come up with a data set like this. And there's three variables that you need. One, it says, is qualitative. Now, what's the difference between qualitative and quantitative? And you can almost see that right here when you're looking at this. Qualitative is non-numeric. It's when you're putting things into groups, or things in this list don't differ by amount. They differ by some quality or characteristic. So gender is a qualitative variable because, again, we're not measuring gender. You're either one, male or female. And so you can see all these M's and F's. There's no numbers in here. And right away over here, you can see, well, this pretty much is probably all numbers where they're measuring some amount of something, and they are measuring weight in pounds. So this is a quantitative variable. We need two quantitative variables. So you have weight, which is one of those. Again, numeric, right? We're measuring amounts. These all differ in an amount of weight, and then systolic pressure, milligrams, mercury, or whatever this is, and millimeters. And then the 144, 100, and so on. Like, so we see these are kind of like typical systolic blood pressures. And so they're, again, numbers because they're representing amounts. These things differ by an amount of pressure, okay, on the artery walls or so on. So now this is just a very simple statement, like, Kevin Nurse, interested in the relationship between gender, weight, and systolic blood pressure. And they may have made that up or whatever, but it's just the idea that you make a statement about, okay, why did you pick these variables? How do they relate? Maybe this person is in a nursing program at Walden, and they want to see if there's maybe some relationships here or something. So here we have gender and 15 data values. We have 15 weights. There's 15 different people that, they weighed. These are the different weights of those people, and this was their measured systolic pressures. Okay, so there's the data set. And we have, 15 in each. So we have 45 total observations. And now, post a 2 to 3 paragraph response by day 3, and describe your scenario in the variable that you're using. Don't use any of the variables used in this example. So, don't say, well, I'm going to, I want to study gender and pressure and, something else. No, so make up your own. You're going to look and dig around and come up with your own. So don't use these. And post your data set, okay, just like this. So you're going to do the same thing here. And then, again, 15 data values each variable. That's a total of 45 observations. And fill in the following table. Explain why you made these choices. So we go back to here again. We said gender. Okay, gender was one of the variables. Qualitative, quantitative. Well, it's qualitative. Okay, and again, we said it's non-numeric. It's you're grouping and so on. And then gender's neither discrete or continuous because it's qualitative. And then the level of measurement, these are your options: nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Levels of measurement, and gender would be at the nominal level because, again, one is there's groups, but one group's not higher than the other. They're just different. And so that's nominal level. There's no ordering of the groups. And there's a video on this you guys can watch for more detail on this. But So weight was the other variable. It's quantitative, continuous at the ratio level. And systolic pressure is the last variable. We had three variables here. All right. And so systolic pressure is quantitative, continuous, and at the ratio level, and so on. And so you'll explain why you did those. And once you get that all together, and then you can follow along the rest of this stuff. You're going to post to at least two of your colleagues postings with something, one of these. It says at least two of your postings are one or more of the following ways. So you have your own post, but then you go to respond to at least two of your colleagues' posts. You'll look at their ideas and what they came up with and said, and make some comments, and then return back and kind of look at the responses and what people said maybe about your post, and they'll be looking at what people said about their post and so on. And so again, remember, discussions, you need to make sure you get those done during the week, right? That they're relevant, because you can't post a week late. That means you couldn't post to theirs during that week and they couldn't post to yours. So it kind of messes things up. So the discussions got to be done during the week they're supposed to be. There's one discussion each week. And submit as it's stated in the discussion area. You'll see there's directions on, where you can click and submit on there. So there's no computations that you have to do in this first one. And again, the package that we're going to use is StatDisk. And you can run it offline or you can download it to your computer. There's directions on how to do that. And so to come up with data sets, there's a thing here that says data sets. I'm just going to go into this first one. And let's say that I want to look around in StatDisk for some ideas maybe. And I'm just going to I'm just grabbing one of these. And so I look here and I say, well, yeah, there's some good listings here. And right away you can see these are words. This is a qualitative variable here. That would be good. Against, of course, I don't know anybody studying movies, but again, this is just something I picked randomly out of there. This is a qualitative variable. The studio that it was produced at. You see these words: Disney, MGM, Warner Brothers, Universal. So these are qualitative variables. And then we say there's numbers. These are so probably they're using these numbers here, and then length. So the length of the movie. So those are quantities. There's difference in amounts of how long the movies were, and this is how many minutes of tobacco use there were in the movies. And you'll see some of them had a lot, some of them none, and so on. Here was alcohol use. How many minutes were people drinking alcohol in these movies? I never saw some of these, so I don't know, but that seems like a lot there. Great Mouse something. But so here's a 1, 2 qualitative variables. Here's 1, 2, 3 quantitative variables, and just you can look through some of these data sets just for some ideas, and you can even pick 15 data values out of the. Let's look ages at Oscar winners. Now these are numeric, so these are both quantitative, but you could actually just pick the data values from the list and use them. For this first one, that's okay. We don't care if you make them up and out for the first one. So, and again, the internet's a great resource. You can look up, for data sets if you have an idea of what you want, and then just kind of Google it in and ask for some data or data sets, and it really doesn't take that long to come up with some information. So, all right, well, good luck getting started on that. And again, check all the resources out that are up there already in the course first. And then if you have questions, I'll be glad to answer those.